My name is Nico Neugebauer. If you can read this presentation, then it's true. So I'm senior program manager within Azure SQL product group at Microsoft. What does it mean? That basically I am one of the group of the crazy people who define what is inside and how managed instance looks, what features it has. Um, if you are able putting my name into the Twitter or LinkedIn, you should be able to find me. I also have a blog. I think I haven't blogged for 1.5 months, I think. But anyway, there are people who didn't blog like for 1.5 years, but you know. But agenda, intro, some marketing. I know all of you kids love marketing, right? But this one makes sense actually. So then I'll show you what was last 12 months, and then I'll show you hybrid flexibility, hardware performance, scalability, and modern security, all in managed instance. Just before we go any further, anybody from here is using managed instance? Like, you need to write it right here if you are using. Otherwise, I will assume you have no idea. Yes. Who is this guy? Yeah, cool. Wow, Leandro Cara. Okay, 3 people out of 9. But that's not bad. It's like 1 in every 3. So 1, 2, 3, which means nobody, right? Anyway, okay, good. So what is Azure SQL? We need to start with this. Microsoft, we use this brand pretty wide. What does it mean, Azure SQL? Azure SQL means a SQL Server on Azure virtual machines. This is a IaaS, so infrastructure as a service. We also have a platform as a service, which includes Azure SQL Managed Instance. It's basically the best offer for when you are migrating to PaaS service or you have complex application which need specific features. Or it's Azure SQL database, and we have pre-provisioned Azure SQL database with serverless, which is basically can scale up and down dynamically, and Azure SQL database with hyperscale. These are the best when you are developing a new cloud-born application. So SQL VMs give you the most familiarity and the biggest flexibility you have with a single database, not with the whole instances on the managed instance. With that, what is managed instance? It's the same good old and quite modern SQL Server you have on your premises, in your data center, or on any cloud. So what will provide you with managed instance? It's the latest and greatest version of SQL Server. Is it 2016? No. Is it 2017? No. Is it 2019? No. We run in 2019 plus whatever all the features that will land in SQL Server 2022, as was announced 2 weeks ago. So we are targeting for maximum SQL Server compatibility and low cost path of migration and modernization. So basically, you do less of changing your app and you migrate to platform as a service, where we manage the high availability, patching, and updates. So you run the evergreen version. You have no more end of life or end of support stories. You have no more upgrades. It's a perpetual evergreen version, all latest features. So like we have this T-SQL features, improvements like greatest or least. Yes, greatest. So you can put a number of columns and the biggest of them will be, the biggest value will be selected. You don't have to write a lot of ifs. It's just one T-SQL function. It only exists in managed instance or Azure SQL database. And the string split, all the new improvements are already on the managed instance, etc., etc. So like you want to go beyond the latest SQL Server version, you gotta go here. That's what we offer. And we offer you the integration with Azure services. So kind of like if you're using Azure Key Vault, Data Factory, whatsoever, we will integrate you with the latest innovation. And we build everything cloud first. So first on the cloud, and then it will land on a regular product. So we offer you 4 nines availability, financially backed up. If you need, you can have a premium support 24/7 and monitoring at scale, advanced threat protection, and all the beautiful stuff. And you can, put it in one of the more than 50 Azure regions where it is available. We care most about the security. That's why so many things are functioning in such way. Actually, when you create a managed instance, by default, you can connect only within the same VNet where it is landed. So you will need to place a virtual machine within the VNet in order to be able to connect. We allow you to reconfigure and at a public endpoint so you can connect from your computer. But by default, we kind of like secure it at the maximum. So we at the Ignite 2 weeks ago, we introduced these improvements and I'll go them into in details in a minute, but like the last 12 months, we did a lot of updates, 11 in the last 6 months of 2020. Then this year, this calendar year, since January, the first 6 months, we delivered 13 updates, something like a maintenance window, dynamic data masking, granularity, SQL insights. For those of you who are interested in monitoring, I just say Azure Monitor SQL Insights. Take a look at it. It's really interesting. Still in preview, but it shows a great potential already. So in the last 12 months before the last Ignite, we delivered 25 updates, right? Right? So wait a second. 11 plus 13 is 24. I must be lying, right? So actually, one missing was in September, 2 months ago, we introduced full support for Terraform. So CRUD operations are not now supported. You can run your Terraform scripts. We, Microsoft, worked together with Terraform, and we're happy that it went right into GA, general availability. Like we call GA, this is a release, okay? With that, let's take a look with what's the interesting stuff. Hybrid flexibility. If you have been sleeping under the rock, you might have not heard, but we just created something in the limited public preview we call Azure SQL Managed Instance Link. What is a Managed Instance Link? You can connect any SQL server running 2019 and posterior, so we will support 2022, anywhere inside the data center, on premises, in VM, on Azure, on any other clouds, you can connect it to managed instance. And we are like, we give you 2 key scenarios unlocked right out of the box. First of all, you can direct your Synapse, your Power BI analytics into your managed instance and avoiding impact of your SQL Server primary. That's a great read-only workload scenario. The second scenario is that we are uncovering is seamless and instant database migration. So after establishing the link, you can go and migrate almost online to managed instance. This is the best way to migrate to managed instance. If you are a managed services provider and your clients are going to migrate from virtual machines or on-premises to Azure to manage instance, you should be considering in the first place managed instance link. Okay. So how does this work? Underneath, we basically took and expanded just a little bit something that was already available since 2016, if I'm not mistaken, which is called distributed availability group. So it's built, you have availability groups on both sides, and we expand an asynchronous distributed availability group between your primary SQL Server instance and managed instance on Azure. So, would you like to see a demo? I assume yes, right? Oh no, you don't want to see a demo?
Yes, I want.
Okay. I was kind of thinking that you might. I don't know how to write master, right? So what do we have here? We have here something. Let me just expand a bit. I have here a SQL Server. This is a 2019 with some updates SQL Server. And I have here a managed instance running. Doesn't really matter where the SQL Server is. It runs on Azure SQL VMs because it runs there best, but you know, who am I, right? So let's connect to SQL Server and create a database. I'll call it SQL MI demo. Create a database by default. I expand it to a little bit of the size to be more comfortable. And then I will want to seed it with the help of the managed instance link from here to managed instance. You can see I have no databases. So what do we need to do is seeding. We need to have a full backup. Please don't do backups to temporary spaces. Never overwrite your backups. Follow all the best practices that are documented. I'm just doing this for the sake of the demo. So I took the full backup, now I'm ready. Right click and don't write yet on your management studio. You don't have this option. We have an Azure SQL Managed Instance link. And we have two options after, to attach and to migrate. Okay? So let's go and attach a database to the cloud. Click, schnick, schnack, as they say. Server requirements. Don't write down the trace flags. Nobody cares about them. We are not even in full public preview. Things will change. Don't write down the roles. They might change. Don't write the requirements. They might change. But, you know, something that is not compatible with managed instances such as a file stream is not going to change, you know, breaking news. So there are server, database, and availability group requirements. You click next, you sign into Azure. You hope that you will not need to repeat your password since 1 hour that I deliver this demo. Magic mushrooms. Sorry. It's magic. The mushrooms are magic. I'm vegetarian. That's why I like mushrooms. Then, so I logged into my subscription, my Azure account. I selected my subscription. I select the resource group. It will always go and list all the managed instances. I select the correct one, then I log into it. So you need currently a sysadmin on your managed instance. Yes, we are aware that it's a pretty serious requirement. We are listening carefully to the market. That's what I can say. So next, make sure that you can create the certificates. Managed instance already by default has a certificate, so your local server has to have them. Then you need to have specified the right IP address. We will pick up automatically, but if you have multiple ones, maybe we'll pick the wrong one, so you can correct it. And then you can change the default name for availability and distributed availability groups. Yes, on a single instance, you can create availability and over the availability group, you create a distributed availability group. Next, finish. Finish not like Swedish, and not like Swedish chief, from the Muppet Show. So all the basic stuff, clicky, draggy, droppy. I go to my managed instance, I click on refresh. Nothing happened. Why? Should I click in a second time? I think so. Wow, it landed. Why wasn't it that instant? Database creation on Azure will register. It's not only database operation itself. We have a lot of operation. We need to ensure that there is a backup, blah, 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 blah. We need to register on the portal. It's kind of like, it takes time, the initial database creation. But will it work after that? I don't know. Let's see. So let's go on my on-premises, on my SQL Server. Let's select the database and create a new table. Let's not truncate it because it's empty. You know what happens if the table is empty and you truncate it? Do you know what happens if we truncate an empty table? That's not true. That's correct. But what else happens? From being empty, it becomes emptier. Even more empty, in other words. Mais vazia. Vazia, beef, no, sorry, I'm vegetarian, just, So let's just insert, and I don't have a transaction here, I will hammer with just some data inserting into my SQL Server table. I'll go here and I ensure that I run a managed instance here. You can see that's a managed instance, right? That's correct. Then let's select our database and then let's see what is the status. It's read-only. Makes sense? Because as if you're running availability group, it should be read-only. Now let's go and select the maximum value. 22,000, 24, 25, 26, 28. So it replicates. Let's stop the workload and see how much time it will take to replicate. So Pimba, 35. Oh, it stopped. So it's kind of like it's near real time, but please do not expect it to be real time. It depends on the bandwidth you have. It depends. If you're running 80 vCores VM and you're replicating to 4 vCore managed instance, I think there will be delayed. That happens. If you do not have an equal, there will be delays. And also it's asynchronous, and even if it would be synchronous, don't forget that the synchronous process guarantees acknowledgement. There is another asynchronous process on the secondary side that will redo the transaction. So there is always a delay. Okay, so.
Question, Nico. So we are doing this demo using potentially just a small database or almost empty database. If we use a terabyte database to put in here, how much time should we wait to have this set up with a terabyte database?
It depends on the size of the managed instance you are using.
Okay.
If you are using a general purpose tier with remote storage, you will have one type of performance. If you are using a business critical tier with, I don't know, memory optimized premium series, we just announced 64 cores, well, it's going to be a different one. Also, what is your network bandwidth between your SQL Server and your managed instance? Is it in Australia and you're replicating to East Coast of the US? So it's all this will apply, right? Okay, so you've seen the demo, right? You see that the availability group are here. We created in a single instance availability group and over it a distributed availability group, right? So now what we should do, actually, let me just show you something else. If I connect to my managed instance, I can create managed instance is not in read-only mode. Only the database. I am creating right now a new database. So it's registering, it's replicating, because it's a business critical, it's reseeding it on all replicas, does all the stuff. But it's writable. The instance itself is writable. The database that participates in managed instance link, it's not writable as it should be. Okay, so let's go and migrate to Azure. Let's select migrate database. Once again, log into your account, select the managed instance, do the login. Next, you have two cutover types. You have a planned one where you guarantee that you are not writing anymore. And we're going to trust you because you are all smart and responsible people. And you confirm that it stopped, then you can go forward, right? Or like in any availability groups, you just say force failover. There is a disaster. Go ahead. I'll do the planned one. Next, I will delete, or I can choose to leave them for whatever reasons. Next, and we will switch the asynchronous distributed availability group into synchronous. So they will be synchronized, both servers. And then we will compare log sequence numbers on both sides and say, yeah, they are the same. If we do 3 attempts, if the first one is succeeded, the second and the third are not necessary, and then we do the failover and we delete the availability groups. So here we go, back to my managed instance. If I will rerun, the number should be the same, right? That's the same last 80, but now the database is in the read-write mode. Oh my God. Okay, for some reason, zooming does not work right now well. So, but you should be able to see it's in read-write mode. So I just migrated a database. Is this database deleted? No, it's still available. You can still use it on your SQL Server, but this is the greatest migration path we are currently offering you because you can ensure that it's synchronized. You can run it. So log replace service, log shipping to Azure. We allow, once you started it, we give you 36 hours, 36 horas. 36 hours to do a cutover. With Managed Instance Link, run it for years. You don't. We put you no limit on how long it will take. Maybe one day we will support your SQL Server version. Like in 20 years, oh, my SQL Server 2019 is not more supported. Link stopped working. Yeah, do the upgrade, do the reseeding. Yeah, that's it. Don't wait so much time to migrate to Azure. Just basic tips. Angry Nico. Any questions? David, I know you have questions. Ask me something.
I will make one. So if we migrate and assuming
Is your name David?
No, no. But you asked to ask questions, so okay. You told to ask questions. So let's do it. So assuming that we have and we are using distributable groups, so it means that from now on using managed instance, the application should be updated as well in terms of connection string in order to use the listener that we have on the new instance on managed or the managed instance listener.
I will respond it in an even more interesting way. Currently, if you are running on premises, you have no other way unless you do some DNS hacking. If you are running on Azure, we currently do not support DNS LIs. You're on mute, by the way. So, David, do you have any questions? I know you have.
I have one. I already put it in the chat, but just for
the event doesn't know how to read.
My question is automation. So you did a lot of stuff with SQL Management Studio to create a link, etc. But I suppose all this stuff can be automated, right? Through PowerShell.
PowerShell, CLI, you got it, man.
Okay, sir.
So it is already, so when I'm doing performing a failover, partially, it's already running PowerShell and stuff, okay? But once we are progressing to general availability, yes, you'll have full automation ready for you. That's absolutely, that we would not even imagine going with this feature. I mean, who cares about Management Studio right now, right? Only DBAs. All right. Terraform is already supported. It's interesting to think if the Terraform would be supported. I would not expect it to be our priority even for GA of the first version, but it's a very interesting actually idea. And I suggest David just ping Danny on that. Just drop him an email. You already have his email. Okay. More questions? No? Okay. Let's go forward because we can, as they say. So you can not only migrate one to one, or actually, currently, you will have to establish migrating for every database a separate managed instance link. That's the current thing you need to be aware of. So if you have multiple databases in your solution, you will need to establish multiple managed instance links. And there, precisely as David pointed, automation, even for this scenario, will be a key thing, right, for doing the cut over. I told you both scenarios. I'm just like showing you slideware, but you should be quite a part of this. You can, beautiful thing, imagine you have some clients in Australia and we from Portugal, we run it and like, oh, I want to give to my customer read-only access for Power BI in Australia and I want the latency to be as low as possible. You know, should a managed instance in Australia region establish a managed instance link and, you know, enjoy your life. Yeah, so that's basically it. And the best migration path to Azure platform as a service. That's our catch. You can migrate the workload consolidation, basically multiple instances and multiple SQL Server instances inside one managed instance, or you can deconsolidate. You have like 160 CPU vCore SQL Server on premises, and you want to migrate to 280 CPU vCores managed instances. You can do it. Up to you how you distribute it, and et cetera, but we just allow you this different path. How do you sign up? Go there, go to AKMS MI link, sign up, bring a good business case, talk to your customers, to your business partners. Don't go just like, oh, I would like to play with it, because I think there will be a couple of hundreds of people before you with better cases. Just saying. Write a good case. Explain why we are currently in a limited public preview, why you and your company or your customer should be one of the first from the public to try this feature. Sign up. Then we introduced new hardware generations. We introduced the bigger managed instances. We have a demo and we have some cool results on testing. So customers were asking for bigger instances, more storage, more memory per CPU vCore, more storage per vCore, because if you want to reach higher storage, currently you need to have more vCores, and a lot of customers had to go this way, and you wanted to have more IOPS. And we started by introducing the new generation of hardware. So what was called Generation 5 is currently called Standard Series. Underneath, you would have Broadwell, Skylake, or Cascade Lake, Intel CPUs with 2.3 up to 2.5 gigahertz. And the new hardware generation is the latest, third generation Intel Xeon Platinum Ice Wake with 2.8 gigahertz. This is, if you never heard about column store indexes, you never heard about me, and vice versa. So if you run column store workloads, you might be excited by seeing AVX 512 extensions on those. So you'll get some improvements. And we, by default, expect for many workloads up to 15% improvements, at least on the Azure compute numbers. And I will show you some more delightful numbers that we've seen. So another thing regarding the memory, the current series gives you 5.1 gigabytes of RAM per vCore. If you see the new options, you will be delighted. We give you on the premium series, not 5.1, but 7 gigabytes of RAM per vCore. And if you go with the premium series memory optimized, or as we call it, large instances, large memory instances, we'll get you a whopping 13.6 gigabytes of RAM per vCore. A lot of customers who would scale up and pay SQL Server licenses just to get more memory can simply go and get more memory. That's 2.5 times more per vCore. And we, in some, even with 64 CPU vCores, that is current limitation, we give you more than twice the max memory per instance. That's almost a terabyte currently. So regarding the large instances, if you're running general purpose tier, great news for you. You can have now up to 16 terabytes by using just 16 vCores. It's basically a terabyte per every core. Find me a good customer that uses a bigger configuration than 1 vCore per terabyte. And I'll tell you, you are very, very, very exceptional case. So don't forget, you need at least 2 data files there to reach 16 terabytes. The current remote storage on general purpose that we are using limits 1 single data file at the size of the 8 terabytes, just an important thing. That's general purpose service tier. On the business critical, we increased it 4 times. So from 4 terabytes maximum limit in public preview, in limited number of regions, you can reach 16 terabytes. And because we're running 4 synchronous replica, when you reserve 16 terabytes, we are actually behind the scene reserving 64 terabytes for you. And we doing a synchronous managed service for you. Scary. So one key thing we change is you don't need to have 24 CPU vCores to reach 2 terabytes. Right now, we allow you 16 cores on the business critical. And if you want the 16 terabytes of space, you need to select memory optimized premium series and 64 vCores. Would you like to have it different? Me too. This is a public preview. This is how it is. I'll give you a biggest tip, probably ever on Porto.DATA. Just in November, if you go right now on the portal or whatever and go to premium series, premium series memory optimized, you will be charged no SQL Server license. We'll charge you only for the compute. So SQL Server license in November of 2021 is free. Because it's in the preview, we give this usage advantage. You're running with a client on the GP, and you're interested in BC, in business critical, you need it. Try it out now for no money. We just charge the compute. I'll repeat no more. I think it's and yeah, important message. This is not the end. This is just the beginning. We're just warming up. Trust me. I will be back to Porto.DATA with more news one day. We did some crazy stuff like parallel backup improvements, improved replica build. So I don't want to go in the details because we don't want to spend too much time, but basically the backups, managed backups run in parallel on each data file, and your copy only backup will run in parallel. You get a faster performance, significantly faster performance. It will depend on your data file size on general purpose tier, right? Because your data file size is meaning performance. You should know this. Check out the documentation. This is well documented. Then for replica build, if you have one on the business critical, out of 4, if just one has survived for whatever reason, it doesn't go online, but it becomes read-only. We traditionally would do 2 instances build, and when they're ready, we would declare available like 3, like a quorum, kind of a search, and okay, that's fine. We would make your managed instance available, and then we would, with normal speed, build the last 4th instance on the business critical. What we change is right now, you have to do nothing. We already did it a number of months ago. So when there is quorum loss, you still read-only, of course, because we want to make sure that like on multiple levels you're available. We do a very, very focused and very fast build of just a single one. And once we have just 2, we declare it already available and your business is available. As a next step, we do a full speed focus build of the next one, and then it's ready, it's all fine. The last one, the 4th replica, we will do a govern build in order not to impact your primary, just like slower, less impact, you already running your business stable. So it's kind of like more availability, less impact, less time of impact. That's an important change we already delivered. Then we basically, this is an overview of what I told you. 16 terabytes. 16 terabytes is on currently, and this changes constantly. Beware to come back to the documentation. I know it's a weird word, but we do care and we update weekly our documentation. You need to go 64 CPU vcores on memory optimized for business critical to reach 16 terabytes. On general purpose, 16 terabytes is available on every hardware series. So there is more price for each of the premium series and premium series memory optimized, but we see on the performance side is 22% better value and 68% value for each one of them new hardware generations respectively. And stay tuned. We are delighted with the results we see. So these are the regions. I mean, in Europe, North Europe is your best friend if you want to try them both. If you care about memory optimized, West Europe serves as well. Once again, check up the documentation, see it changes. So what we've seen on running TPCC with new premium series, we got 20% lower latency and 40% better throughput. And no, we do not fake it. We take very, very, very capable people and we run official TPCC test. So on GP, general purpose, we get 20-30% lower latency and 40-60% better throughput. So now, are you ready? Are you really ready to see how much better performance we get on premium series memory optimized? We get 2 up to 3 times lower latency and up to 2.5 times better throughput. That's on a 4 replica synchronous availability group. So And we are not done with it. So we are excited, and watch this space. Let's do this. So we believe overall, yes, the premium series and premium series memory optimized are more expensive, but they give you so much more for the money. And just the last thing, if you're running on standard series, don't go and upgrade, mindlessly. Make sure that your business benefit. We, Microsoft, we do not want your customers or you to pay more money. We want you to be more happy. If standard series delivers you the best for the buck you have, that's what you should do. Okay. TPCH, I did this test. So 300 gigabytes TPCH database, standard database, and a single query. I just did the top one in order to, to summarize, and I changed from 1 year to 20 years because who analyzes just 1 year? And on the standard series, it took 49 seconds, this query. And you can see there is a TempDB spiel, 600,000 pages in TempDB. The memory grant was 6.2 gigabytes. When we went to premium series, I talked to my colleague who is running the whole provisioning and hardware stuff. And I'm like, it's weird because it has more warnings. And he's like, really? I'm like, yeah. But is it faster? I'm like, yeah, it is actually. From 48, 49 seconds, we went to 43 seconds. So 6 seconds were cut off because we went with more memory. It's not 5.1, it's 7 gigabytes of RAM per vCore. Besides that, CPU is also faster. And so 8.7 gigabytes memory grant, and not 680,000, but just 475,000 pages, right? Are you ready for the premium series memory optimize? My favorite one, just Pimba Zé Carlos, right? Or Jose Carlos, 22 seconds. Why? No more spiel in TempDB because we got, that's exceptionally big and unnecessary in practice, but we got 18 gigabytes memory grant. These are all the tests I ran on 8 CPU business critical instances. If I would have 2 hours, I would happily show it to you. So blah, 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 just visualize how much faster it is. But beware, you need to have the problem. If you have no problem, you'll get no solution. You just waste money. Don't do this. Be smart. And you can run more queries in parallel, which basically, you won't have your queries governed, waiting for the memory grant, and, more memory you have, more parallel queries you have. Besides that, you should be doing the tuning. But, how expensive you're tuning, that's up to you. It's your customer decision. Yeah, it just runs faster when you have problems, right? It's like, it just runs faster, Nico's version. It just runs faster when you have the problems, the one we just presented to you. Okay? Let's talk about the modern security. Let me show you a demo. That's better than, some bullshit talk. You have any questions in the meantime?
I see a question from Leandro. Basically says there was a change in the log write throughput limit.
Yes. I understand the question. Yes, I understand the question. It's a good question. If you look at the performance, you see that we announce a better latency, and that's the only thing I can communicate at this time.
Are you happy with the answer, Leandro? It was enough.
Of course not, I would expect. But I give the answers I can give, right?
Yeah.
We're all smart people. So let me just show you one cool managed instance, right? So let me connect to it. Right, I need to connect to the right one, right?
Nico, I have another one. So these results that you are showing is only using basically the hardware, or is it to test exclusively the hardware, or the, let's say, the improvements that were done at TempTB level that the team of
No.
Okay, because we have a couple of things that are coming for the engine, like TempTB contention, that they are trying to sort the problem. I think we have a couple of new functionalities coming, and basically I was asking if that includes as well these benefits.
Okay, let me just find the yes. So my test query. Here you can see, I hope it works, because for some reason, yes, it's not working. So my Zoom it, just, I don't know what happened to it. Is it on desktop, Zoom it? No. It should be in downloads. Is it? Let's sort by name. No. No. So Zoom it. Find me the Zoom it. No, not in downloads. So I would want to show you, but yeah. Okay. Thank you very much. So you can see I have here 3 instances, right? This one is running business critical 8 core. This one is running premium series. And the third one in the middle is running premium series memory optimized. Okay. So if that's the same query I was showing. I am connected to, I just worry because we have like a limited amount of time. It's sneak a test, and of course I need to be admin. If I am going to connect to my 300 new and run this query, it probably will be a little bit more of time, but because it needs to be warmed up, right? The first execution. So I will do the same, connecting to the other ones. This one did not. Okay, let's run it. They are all independent, so should be fine, right? Okay. Shoot your questions, people. Otherwise. So I can't see how many seconds is. This one should be almost done. I think the first run is the cold run is like 1.5 minutes, but but the problems they're suffering. Oh, this one was fast. This one, you see, I started this one as the last one, and this one finished, right? Do you know which one is this? Premium memory optimized. If you look at the execution plan, I got my 18 gigabytes memory grant, right? Do you see any of the hash match problems? None. How much time did it take? It take 23 seconds. On average, I saw, actually my average was 20 to 21 seconds. I even picked for official results 22 seconds, okay? Okay, the others are ready. This one is a Gen 8, as we call it. Gen 8, this is a premium series. This is 7 gigabytes of RAM. So, as I show you, 2 hash matches warning. In the sum, it's 263 and 212,000. So that's 470. How much memory grant we got? 8.7 gigs, right? And it took me 51 seconds. Actually, this one was a little bit cold. This one, the standard series, took me 1 minute and 2 seconds. So you see the difference. That's a live execution difference. It has just one warning, right? But this warning is huge. This one is 600 and almost 690,000 pages. That's huge. And the memory grant, it's 6.2 gigs, not 8.8 and not 18 gigs. And there's absolutely the same hardware. I mean, not hardware. There's absolutely the same settings. It's so identify the hardware. Let me just run this one. It's my script. So this one, it's a Gen 5, business critical 840 gigs of RAM. This one is the standard series. Let's go to this one. This one is premium series. Premium series is Gen 8 IM, Intel Medium, as we call it internally. 7 gigabytes of RAM. Okay, let's go to the fastest one. What is the difference there? It's business critical IH Intel High. That's 100 gigs, but still 8 CPU V cores. That's a pure case of memory. If your application lacks memory, on managed instance, just, change yourself to better hardware. You'll get better latency, better throughput, better IOPS. Pimba Jose Carlos in the house. Booyakasha. Okay. So let's go to the demo. Let me connect to my managed instance. I want to show you a demo. So you see this managed instance is pretty fine. It's all normal. I can do all the same stuff I can do with it. Nothing special about it. Do you notice how I connected to it? I did something special. Let me do it slowly, like really slowly. Database engine. Let's zoom it in, baby. Windows authentication. The only platform as a service which allows you Windows authentication is Booyakasha Managed Instance. Public preview, you can already sign for it and use the Windows authentication. And the best thing about it, we support the double hop scenario. So like ES impersonation. And let me show you this really cool demo. Do you see this one, the script I'm running on this management studio? I'm running it as my dear friend Sasha Popovich, who is another PM, a good friend of mine. And we have here a linked server set up. Server objects. Yeah, actually I connected to the remote service. Authentication, yeah. So let me show you the server object, linked servers. I have two of them. I'm using my linked server here, the first one. So I can see the databases. I can read data from this table, and I can read the data from this table on a remote managed instance, from this schema, and from the customer personal information, where we have, a lot of secret fake data. Okay. It's it's a really fake data, not faking real or whatsoever. And then let's do the same thing, but switch here. Let's switch and see that this management studio I'm running as myself. I'm not a system administrator on the remote instance. I am administrator on my managed instance, but not on the remote. So can I see the remote databases? Yes. Take some time, yeah. Can I read the data from this query telemetry by minute? Yes. Can I read the table data? Ouch, baby, that hurts. My user does not have a permission on remote server. So I connected with Windows authentication to my primary one, and I'm jumping on a double hop to remote server by Windows authentication. And depending on your permission on remote server, you can access and do on that. And so besides a direct Windows authentication, we open you this scenario. Another scenario that we open is using a managed identity. So throw away your SQL authentication. You can set up a managed, a linked server between managed instances, and you just specify in authentication the name of your managed identity. and you can authenticate. So I can actually read the same information through the second linked server, because that one is authenticating with managed identity that has a permission for that table. So that's kind of like a longer demo I could have executed. So I cannot run it with this, but if I go and use the MSI, which uses managed identity to do the authentication, I should be able to read. This one is pretty cold. Suspense. Dealer is running. So it is.
Dun, 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 dun.
No, I think that there is something maybe like, because this is already running for some time. Yeah, is it actually the right server? Anyway, it does work. I'll let it run, but I'll go to the slide where it's kind of like we're already at a pretty much time, and there are more stuff I want to show. So you have all the Azure AD password, universal with MFA integrated, but we bring you Windows authentication, Azure ID only mode, etc., etc. So when your application, old application, legacy application, you want to migrate to Azure VMs, and you want to take the advantage of the PaaS service, we will enable it to you. Don't worry about the setup process. Just, basically you will sync your Active Directory into the Kerberos realm within the Azure AD, and by sending the encrypted Kerberos ticket, and your managed instance will exchange with Azure AD, go into the Kerberos realm, okay, and you'll get Azure AD token that you will be using. That's how it's basically implemented under the hood. Next one, consider enabling Azure AD only authentication. It has been like for 8 months, 7 months in public preview. Right now, we finished polishing its general availability, 1 click, and SQL logins do not work anymore. Make sure it makes sense for you, but if you care about security, you should be tirelessly working on eliminating. I've seen too much, even of the customers sharing per email credentials of the administrators, and then who stole the information? Like, I don't know who might have been. Whole company had the access, right? Even the ex-employees still can access our servers. You can also set up Azure AD authentication policy by saying like all of the servers within this subscription or within this resource group must use Azure AD only. And if somebody goes in the resource group and creates a new managed instance server, no SQL authentication. They're like, oh, I want to uncheck it. Like, sorry, man. Sorry, babe. Sorry, party people. We just accept Azure AD. Talk to your Azure AD administrator. And those guys typically like, they don't want to be talked to, right? No, they love you talking to them. They're like, yeah, talk to me. I'll change nothing, but talk to me. Anyway, so I told you about this. So you can use Windows authentication and managed identities to connect between 2 managed instances. Just don't forget to set up SQL trust groups. It's the same setup you use for distributed transactions and a couple of other features. So you can do the context pass-through, like a double hope, as I call it. It's the same code you would use on a regular SQL server. Or if you're using managed identity, as I told you, just specify it in the authentication. Another thing, by default, we're running a system-assigned managed identity when you create a managed instance. But you can, while creating or when configuring, you can set it off, add multiple user-assigned managed identities, and select the primary one. And after you apply it, your managed identity, your managed instance will be executed within Azure context with your user-assigned managed identity. Why? Well, you can access the storage, so you can do backup and restore with this managed identity. And then you can manage the access rights on it, because on the system assigned managed entity, that will be a difficult story to execute. You can do the bulk insert, open the role set, you can do the audit, you can, profiler. Do we say this word on this user group? I mean, extended events, yes. So, and you can use the managed identity access to Azure Key Vault. That was a very requested key scenario from a lot of customers. The last feature I'm talking today, I know you must be already leaving, is the service endpoint policies. It's a pretty small feature, very cool one. So by default, if you care about security, you should be aware that you can actually extract the information from your managed identity into any storage account. It does not even have to be within your subscription or associated somehow to your ownership. So we kind of like allow all outbound, and because we care a lot about security, we said, you know what? We add a new thing. You can go and deny all outbound except as named. So you can specify and limit logging X event profiler, log replay, replication, backup, restore, audit, whatever. You can set that all the accounts within one of your subscriptions are accessible, or only storage account within this resource group, or a specific account are accessible. So let me go and go here. So if I, why does it do it to me? I don't know. So if I go to my home, I can go to service endpoint policies. The setup is very well documented. If you have any doubt, talk to me. You can find me, or not, maybe better not, don't find me. So you can see the associated subnets. You can have multiple ones, and actually you can go directly into the subnet and do this association with the policy. So you can go and say, you know what, I can select my, actually I just have one pre-configured. I could go for my colleague Danny and, destroy his definitions and define the subnet within the virtual network. Then I need to add an alias and specify the storage. And I can go and say, you know what? I can define the scope, all accounts in the subscription, just as I told you, all accounts in the resource group or a single account. Oh, last time I did a demo, I said Nico Synapse IDLS. No, that's wrong. Let's put it on Nico storage. That's the correct one, okay? Now, all managed instances within this subnet, which applies this policy, 2 minutes after it's deployed, it should be propagated. So within 2 minutes, no more access to that storage account, just to my favorite one, Nico storage. And I can go and say, you know what? We don't care about security, maybe, all accounts in the subscription. Okay, everyone can serve. Up to you. Be good for yourselves, for your customers, for your own companies. That's my message to you. Be kind. Yes. And yeah, so that's what we basically announced. And there is just one little thing that I didn't mention, I want to mention in the end. We started working on the management and mobility, and we currently, in a public preview, will allow you to move the managed instance from one subnet into another. Restrictions apply, gotta be by my memory. It's the new subnet gotta be empty, got to have enough IP addresses defined for placing the managed instance, et cetera, but kind of like another great scenario. All the links, all the news, some videos, thank you so much. If you want to, interested in managed instance link, you need to sign up for the limited public preview. You will have to click a couple of times on next, filling it out for us to understanding. If you're interested, just go forward. And if you have any questions, just drop it. Drop it like it's hot.
Any questions, guys?
And girls.
And girls.
And David. Right? And Pedro.
Everyone
And
is
Ricardo.
everyone is sleeping.
Oh, okay.
No. So
I would say
great
it's a
presentation,
dream,
Nico.
but it sounds more like a nightmare.
No, great presentation as usual.
Pedro, my man, when I'm in Lisbon, we need to go for a coffee drink.
We see.
Yeah, I agree with that. Yeah.
we see this feature that you guys are bringing, basically the link. We see that we can basically migrate to the cloud, but the other way around, we are not possible for the moment. So basically fell over from managed instance to on-prem. Is it something that potentially can come up in the future? Is it something that's
I'm looking at one of the camera and the other one. I'm like, are we recording, right? And I see
yeah.
no. Who wants to leave can leave. I might show something interesting. Let me just like drinking my coffee. Actually, it's water. It's embarrassing. But I'm old. You want to see a demo? If you want to see a cool demo, raise your hand. Up in the area. Just one.
I raised my. Oh, okay. It's increasing.
4. Okay, 5. It's not enough.
6.
Like really? 6. Is it majority?
It's majority. Yeah, it's majority.
Leandro is sleeping. Oh, just 5. We're losing. No. No, it's 6. It's 8.
Oh, okay.
Oh God. Okay.
Okay.
You're nasty little people. I love you because I'm a nasty little person myself. How do I move this thing? Okay, it's move. Okay. Stay tuned.
Ta-na-na-na.
God, I'm so nervous I can't even write.
I see you shaking. What's happening?
I see you shaking that double whatever, you know. Okay. Yeah, I'm nervous. Let's see if I'm. Oh God. Oh God, no. It seems to be working. So, do you see my server?
Yeah.
That's a SQL Server. That's what I can tell you. And that's, do you see that a managed instance?
Yeah.
That's a managed instance. So, if I have I have a DB Nico here. Oh, interesting. So, I won't even run something, but I will go and say, do you see that I'm connected to SQL Server? And do you see the name of the SQL Server? Yeah. And do you see that you can actually run this application? And we just went at that database there. So the key thing about this, first of all, is this server name. Okay. We are committed to deliver you the best experience possible, given the, the context, because as you should know and be aware, it's kind of like the key problem with managed instance is that it's evergreen version. We're not running the latest version. Can you take a backup from 2019 and restore it to 2017? And why are you asking us? No, you are on mute.
I was asking because we can do it from 2022 to manage instance, right?
No, what can we do from 22 to managed instance?
So basically, you can basically migrate direct with the database from 2022 to manage
2019.
2019. Okay.
We support.
Okay, 2019. Okay. I thought it was only from 2022.
No. So managed instance link publicly announced, and we're not done yet.
Mm-hmm.
So 2019 and
Onwards. Okay.
yes. If you want to restore, I'm very specific here. We are committed to allow you to restore your backup from managed instance to one of the future SQL Server versions.
Okay.
That should be more than enough as a reassurance. The customer is not locked into managed instance. We heard very loud and clearly. Okay.
Okay. More questions, guys?
If you want to ask, se quiserem fazer perguntas em português, por favor. Pode ser mais fácil. Unmute yourself. Unmute yourself.
David, any questions, man?
He's gone.
He's gone.
No,
Fall asleep.
I don't.
He's taking care of the baby.
Yeah.
Yes, I have to. I have to do it slowly.
What is the name of your baby? It's Server 2017 on Linux.
Yeah. No. I have some questions, but probably not a good topic for this session. It is more about
Bring it on, my friend. Bring it on.
Is more about refreshing database from prod acceptance and integrations. Currently, I'm not very aware of what is done with SQL Managed Instance, but today I have some requirements to have a self-service database for developers, and we need to restore very quickly we need to refresh database from prod to integration or to dev. Yeah. And
what would be the dev? What are you running on the dev environment?
Sorry.
What are you running on development environment?
For currently, I'm running dev environment on-prem, and we are using snapshot-based restore in order to speed up the refresh for the moment. Databases are not so big, but enough to make the process long for us, maybe two hours. And with snapshot-based restore, we can drop the restore to 15 minutes. So my question is, when if we move to the cloud and to a SQL Managed Instance, do we have some kind of stuff to address this topic?
If you are running managed instance for development purposes, and you can do this by running a developer subscription, right? You know this. So I don't have a very this means we need a cross subscription database restore. This is something we can talk about.
Okay, because today we are running on a single instance, not SQL Managed Instance, and the experience is random, because sometimes the restore is very fast, and sometimes we need to wait. I don't know, because it is maybe an environment issue, or I don't know.
And so you restore to the managed instance, and it's very varying. Correct?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Can you drop me an email at my name, nico.neugebauer at Microsoft, with all these scenarios? I'm on vacations right now, but I would love to, to look into it.
I will write an email. So I just have to be clear with the scenario before to drop you an email. So.
Of course. Otherwise, that would be that pain in the ass. A typical program manager. Can you describe me your problem? And people are like, no, I just want to look smart. Even does to me all the time. You know, I'm sleeping in his house, but he's hidden. You can't find me. I brought him some coffee. Oh.
More questions, guys?
Mais perguntas, galera.
I put in the chat. Okay. Log shipping.
Cannot read, you know.
Okay.
Can I have something? Can I have something like log shipping?
Yeah.
To
So, Ricardo, log replace service. Let me just
yeah, but that have a time limit. I can't only have that for a few days.
Nick has mentioned. Yeah, Nick has mentioned.
Okay.
How much time do you need?
Always. I want to have a replicated server or a replicated managed instance, and I would like to have this scenario. Okay.
Managed instance link.
Okay.
You don't have to even to deal with the log shipping because we basically replicate your information much closer to the real time than the log shipping ever will be able to do.
Yeah.
Okay. I will explore.
It should be not very far from absolute public preview. But if you're anxious, just go and sign up.
Yeah.
Public preview.
Thank you.
Manuel, uma pergunta? No?
No, I think it was only just
The hand.
a hand. Yeah, just
Hands up
for the
here,
demo.
yeah. Pedro, não há perguntas, não é? Para lá que quando a gente combina um café.
Sim, essa é a única. Tem
Ok,
que ser
daqui
aqui.
em 2 semanas, combinado.
Ok,
Eu vou ter mais férias. Eu vou combinar contigo depois.
ok, fixe.
Okay, guys, I think it's done. Thank you to everyone for being here. Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. Nice presentation.
Thank you.
Bye,
Bye,
guys.
guys.
Take care
Yeah,
of yourselves,
see you.
man.
Take care. Bye.
Deus te
Bye.
obrigado. Até logo.
Azure SQL, check it out! Tchau, pessoal.
Valeu, obrigado.